This is the STV News. Good evening. Scotland's healthcare system is tonight facing extreme pressure, with 3 of the largest health boards in the country warning of major disruption, staffing pressures and delays. Ollie Dickinson is in the newsroom for us. Ollie, what do we know so far?
Well, as you say, Joanne, there is significant pressure across the country, and we've known that for some time. But tonight, it's to the extent that NHS Grampian have asked all available staff who may be on annual leave to return to work where possible. This, they say, is due to the number of acutely ill patients they are treating and difficulties in discharging patients. Meanwhile, NHS Lothian have said an increasing number of respiratory viruses are heaping extra pressure on the hospital system, warning that they are in horrendous and uncharted territory. They go on to say that 4 of their major hospitals are at capacity. Elsewhere, STV News understands that senior clinicians at NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde have asked the Health Board to declare a major incident at the A&E of the Queen Elizabeth University Hospital. The Health Board declined to comment on that, but did say their services are experiencing extreme demand and asked the public only to attend A&E if their condition is urgent and life-threatening.
Scotland has been on flood alert with an amber weather warning in the run-up to Hogmanay. Flooding has affected parts of southwest Scotland. Tonight, potentially damaging winds in excess of 60 miles per hour are expected to affect Caithness, northeast Aberdeenshire and Orkney, as Brandon Cook reports.
Roads looked more like rivers in some parts of Scotland this morning. Heavy overnight rain and persistent wet and windy conditions throughout most of the day flooded areas across the Central Belt and West Coast. The water was so deep in certain areas that cars were abandoned. Bus services in many areas were affected, while in Dunfermline a flood boat was deployed at a retail park. River levels continue to rise throughout this afternoon, bursting their banks in the process. On the rails, multiple services were cancelled as engineers attempted to drain water from the tracks, badly affecting passengers in Western Bartonshire, Inverclyde and North Ayrshire.
Those rivers are going to stay high because the ground is saturated. So the main advice is to follow the advice of the emergency services and don't drive or walk into flooded water. That is really dangerous.
A yellow weather warning for ice is in place for most of the north of Scotland until tomorrow, while strong winds are expected across the Western Isles and the Northern Isles as the storm conditions push east. Brandon Cook, STV News.
Now, Edinburgh's beloved Gorgie Farm is set to close next month amid rising costs, just 3 years after it was saved from collapse. Bosses say it's costing almost £30,000 a month to prop up the farm. Heartbroken staff have been speaking exclusively to our reporter, Laura Alderman.
It was the morning wake-up call that staff at Love Gorgie Farm in Edinburgh didn't want to hear. After 3 years of serious financial struggles, the farm is closing its doors next month.
Costs for gas and electricity for 18 months was £17,000. In the last 7 months, it's cost us £27,000. We just can't continue, and that without a major rescue effort, then it's over.
The farm fell into liquidation in 2019, but was brought back from the brink by a fundraising campaign.
We've lost vital funding from Edinburgh City Council, and fundraising has slowed down a lot during COVID. There's no trusts out there that are giving away hundreds of thousands of pounds.
The farm first opened 40 years ago and has been visited by the late Queen Elizabeth and the First Minister.
The staff are all devastated, but we're trying to be as positive as we can, and we're just now, it's not over until it's over. I just hope there's someone out there that can help.
Edinburgh City Council is hopeful a way forward will be found for the farm.
The money we have to fund third-party grants across the city is subscribed to over 3 times more than we've got money for. So it's not anybody targeting Gorgie City Farm. There's just not enough money in the coffers of the council to fund everything we'd like to. I say that as the lowest funded council in Scotland.
Staff say all the animals will be rehomed, but the future of this much-loved city landmark is unclear once again. Laura Alderman, STV News, Edinburgh.
Now, with a full New Year fixture card in the Scottish Premiership, Sunday will also see the second Old Firm game of the season at Ibrox. Here's Chris Harvey.
your fill of the action. STV Sports, sponsored by Papa John's Pizza.
Celtic have given their fans a late Christmas present with J-League Player of the Year Tomoki Iwata joining on loan from Yokohama F. Marinos this Sunday. A permanent deal is expected in the summer. He could make his debut against Rangers at Ibrox on Monday, with their manager Michael Beale relishing the test the league leaders will bring.
I'm still hugely confident. It's Rangers at Ibrox against anybody. You know, last year at times there was adversity in terms of domestic results, and in Europe we was able to perform extremely well. In the one-off game, I think they know they're in a match. We certainly know we're in a match as well. I'm looking forward to it. We'll meet them at the halfway line and we'll look at them head on and we'll go for the 3 points. We won't be making a step backwards.
Rangers still have key players missing, and Beale says at full time his attention will turn to strengthening the squad regardless of the result.
End of it, come Tuesday or Monday evening, I'll still have a job to do, a real big job to do. I'll still have a lot of work to do. The window opens, obviously, before the game, but our focus is on the game. We'll look to strengthen in different areas, and we'll look to move forward. What's clear is there's a big job on here, but we're about to play a derby at home. What's there not to look forward to?
There are other big derbies on Monday. Hearts and Hibs go head-to-head at Tynecastle. Dundee United head to St Johnstone. St Mirren cross the border into Ayrshire and play Kilmarnock. Aberdeen host Ross County at Pittodrie, while Livingston and Motherwell will duke it out at the Tony Macaroni. Chris Harvey, STV News.
Get your fill of the action. STV Sports, sponsored by Papa John's Pizza.
Well, after such a wet day, here's Sean with the forecast for New Year's weekend.
Get set for a wet spell. TUI sponsors STV Weather.
A very good evening to you. Dreadful start today across central and southern parts. Of course, that flooding in some spots of Lanarkshire, Renfrewshire, about a quarter of a month's worth of rainfall during this morning. Now, the main feature is the strong winds during tonight across lights of Lewis and Harris, the North Highlands, Orkney, and perhaps very far northeast coast. Could get gusts up to around 60 or 70 miles per hour for a time. Also, a mixture of rain, sleet, and snow affecting northern areas, so there will be icy patches here. Temperatures widely down to around freezing or below. Further south, central, and southern areas, a lot of dry weather, albeit rather cloudy. Temperatures here about 3 or 4 degrees Celsius. So what's in store for the last day of 2022? Well, we hang on to the outbreaks of rain, sleet and snow across the North Highlands, the Western Isles, Orkney and also Shetland, but Shetland becoming largely dry later on. Further south we'll start to see some rain and hill snow coming in across the borders, Dumfries and Galway. Brighter skies in many central parts. Temperatures tomorrow around 4 or 5 degrees Celsius. Now for the bells, if you're heading out, midnight tomorrow, central, southern areas, we've got cloud, we've got outbreaks of rain. Hopefully though, the heaviest of that rain should just stay south of Glasgow and Edinburgh until after midnight as we roll our way into 2023. Across northern areas, a lot of dry, clear weather. Particularly cold across the Highlands, could get temperatures down to about -10 in some spots during tomorrow night. Further north, those temperatures around 2 or 3 degrees, still the risk of 1 or 2 wintry showers. Bye-bye.
TUI sponsors STV Weather.
We'll be back at 6:15 tomorrow evening, but as we get closer to the new year, we'll leave you with some of the stories that have shaped 2022. From everyone on the news team, have a very good night.
The final barriers to near normality were lifted. COVID rules to limit the spread of Omicron ended. Nightclubs can reopen, pubs and restaurants can remove table service, and there are no limits on indoor events.
How is it fair that it's taken me 4 times to get this and the other girls it's taken them the first time?
Russian bombs began dropping on Ukrainian cities in the early hours of this morning.
The average energy bill will increase by almost £700 a year.
That was just beautiful. I was crying. I'm not crying now. This is the best day of my life. I never dreamt to turn back to the European final.
piece of breaking news, very fast moving tonight. Rishi Sunak has resigned, joining Sajid Javid there. This could be a very, very difficult night for the Prime Minister now.
And I want you to know how sad I am to be giving up the best job in the world. But them's the breaks.
It's been a bumper haul of medals at the Commonwealth Games, with 51 medals, 13 of them gold.
Just united will never be defeated.
The City Council says it's done its bit to support workers. It's calling for more action from the Scottish Government and COSLA.
Liz Truss is elected as the leader of the Conservative and Unionist Party.
The Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon.
God bless the Queen!
And so we gather to bid Scotland's farewell to our late monarch, and whose love for Scotland was legendary.
I cannot deliver the mandate on which I was elected by the Conservative Party. I have spoken to His Majesty the King to notify him that I am resigning.
It's me. Hi, I'm the problem, it's me. Everybody agrees.
Some mistakes were made, and I have been elected to fix them. And I have work to do to restore trust after all that has happened.
The Scottish Parliament does not have the power to legislate for a referendum on Scottish independence.
We must and we will find another democratic, lawful and constitutional means by which the Scottish people can express their will.
The NHS is under pressure and scrutiny. It faces a massive COVID backlog and record waiting times in accident and emergency.
This winter will be one of the most difficult our NHS has ever dealt with.
He may have hidden his face leaving court, but now he's been unmasked as a missing fugitive. The man with at least 16 different aliases has finally had his identity confirmed by a Scottish court.